Greetings, world. I just decided just now to do a few more video conversations with the world, and I want to keep these to 7 minutes. I have a watch here, so that it's not too long. And I was thinking, some of it to be sort of reflections, because I like to study a lot. Like, I've been studying modern theology and church history and the Bible and other things. And I live in a small town. I don't have a lot of people to talk with. So I thought, well, I'll just talk with the world. But then I was thinking, well, when would I do it? I used to do it on the cusp, and I thought, well, maybe like once a month I'll do a reflection on the month. And then I went and reflection. Then what came into my mind and what impelled me to do this particular video was just reflecting on recent events. And so particularly the opening of the Olympics, which I feel is very significant, because going back to Hellenistic time, the Olympics were begun as an event where people laid down their arms, where within the Greek world everybody would come and they would compete, and it was a sacred competition, and they would compete not only in athletics, but they would also compete in the arts, especially in drama. And many of our great works of drama that are still enduring today came from that period of time where they committed themselves, even enemies, they committed themselves to peace, and they would come together in a peaceful competition where they would bring forth the best. And this idea of peaceful competition, I think, is a good thing, because that's sort of, as an American, that's sort of an American ideal, is that we have the marketplace of ideas, we have sports, where people engage in peaceful competition. We agree on certain rules, we engage in peaceful competition in order to bring out the best in us. And it's exciting, and it's edifying, and it creates lasting results. So this year the Olympics are in Korea, and in the opening ceremony of the Olympics, one of the first things was the entry of the Korean team as a unified, bearing a flag of a unified Korea. And given the world situation, I believe that this is one of the most significant events of this year, since the coming of the new millennium, because Korea has become one of the centers of international tension. And to me, the Korean people deciding to come together during the Olympics to engage in talks for the sister of Kim Jong-il, the first member of the Kim family to set foot on South Korea, on South Korean soil, since World War II, to engage in talks with the president of South Korea. The intention having been declared between the leadership of North and South Korea to resume talks towards reunification. This is a major milestone where the Korean people are taking responsibility for their destiny. In this situation where you have the United States, which has been deeply involved with South Korea, China, which has been involved with North Korea. The last Korean War was, in fact, a war between China and the United States. Russia, which was peripherally involved. They were going through because of the death of Stalin, so they weren't as involved, but they were peripherally involved. And the Soviet Union was the country that established Kim Il-sung as the leader of North Korea. And then Japan, which had been the occupying force in World War II of Korea as a whole. These four nations have all been involved, were all involved in the establishment of a divided Korea, and they were all involved in the Korean conflict. And they have all been involved with North and South Korea since that time. And yet, none of these four powers, the United States, Japan, China, or Russia, have remembered that this division of North and South Korea was only supposed to be temporary. That there is no question but that Korea is one nation, that the Korean people are one people. They share the same culture, they share the same DNA, they share the same history. There have been times when there have been divisions between parts of the country in their history, but they are all Korean people, and they have a deep, deep tradition that the Korean people, while they were never a major power, they never invaded other countries, but they always were a nation respected for their traditions and respected for their scholarship, whether it was Buddhism or Confucianism or today Christianity. So we have a divided nation, a divided people, not two separate nations. And so this decision by the North and South Korean government to come together and to begin once again a discussion that hopefully will lead to reunification, not just peace between North and South Korea, because North and South Korea are not two separate nations. They are one nation. So discussions, the Korean people taking responsibility to begin discussing amongst themselves the situation in Korea, a situation then that always has and has had for the last 70 years the ideal of reunification, them taking responsibility themselves to begin this discussion, then puts to the center the goal of peaceful reunification of Korea. This is the ideal that the United States should have been embracing since the Korean War. This is the ideal that all of the powers should have had, because this division was only supposed to be a temporary thing. And so the Korean people, I hope them taking this move, will then set the tone for the whole world. And not only the United States, Japan, China, and Russia, but all the nations of the world, including the European Union and Germany, which are also very involved in the Korean Peninsula and China. So, because following the leadership, the taking of responsibility by the Korean people to initiate this, and that is important because this is their country, these other countries should put forward, and the United Nations should put forward, that the goal in Korea is peaceful reunification. And because we will not be able to move forward in this direction until that is the stated goal. The stated goal is not the maintenance of the status quo. The stated goal is obviously not war. So there's much, much more that I can say about this, and I probably will say about it as time goes by. I said I was going to try to limit this to 7 minutes, and I've gone beyond it. But really the important thing is to state, this is a no-brainer. You could go out into Africa or South America or something and describe the situation and say, shouldn't the goal be the peaceful reunification of North and South Korea? Isn't that what we should be working towards? This may not be easy, but isn't that the goal? Until we state the goal, then we can't begin to chart the path to overcome the difficulties towards achieving that goal. But once we make a decision and state that that is the goal, then we can move forward in that direction. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to doing more videos because I'm stimulated to do this, and it won't just all be on current events. I don't usually talk about politics, but it will be about a lot of interesting things. Interesting to me, at least, and I hope they'll be interesting to you. God bless you all.